Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at this growing pressure on the huge AI models. You know, the ones. Hundreds of billions of parameters, massive compute, huge costs.
Right.
But the future isn't just about those giants. It's got to be about efficiency. We're unpacking how researchers are making lightweight models that can actually, think strategically.
And that's our whole mission for this deep dive. We're getting into the technical report for Youtu-LLM from Tencent Youtu-Lab.
It's tiny, right?
Exceptionally small, just 1.96 billion parameters. But it's built from the ground up to be a powerful agent. The real story here is they didn't just, distill a bigger model. They systematically taught this small model how to plan and reason.
Okay, so let's start with the engine under the hood. They stick to that 1.96 billion parameters and use a dense multi-latent attention, or MLA, architecture. So why do that? If mixture of experts, or MOE, is kind of the gold standard for scaling the big models, what was the trade-off they were making here with MLA at this, well, tiny scale?
It's a classic trade-off, really. For this kind of lightweight model, latency matters way more than total throughput.
Ah, on-device stuff.
Exactly. MLA just gives you better expressiveness with fewer parameters, and it's much better for a low latency on-device deployment. MOE has all that communication overhead. But you hit on the core problem. Models this size usually just. They completely lack the planning, the tool used, the reflection skills you need for real agentic behavior.
So the architecture is one thing, but the real magic seems to be the instruction set they came up with. This structured thinking paradigm they call agentic hati.
Yes. It's disciplined pedagogy, really. Regular or vanilla chain of thought can just ramble on.
It can be all over the place.
Right. But agentic COT forces the reasoning into this very strict sequential workflow. They often use these like XML-style tags to structure the model's internal monologue into 5 specific phases: analysis, then plan, action, reflection, and finally a summary.
Okay, but doesn't that structure risk stifling creativity? I mean, if you force it into these boxes, can it still handle novel problems that don't fit the mold?
That's what's so fascinating. The paper shows the structure actually enables a better strategic choice. In a really complex math problem they show, this structure actually forced the model to choose a counterexample strategy to solve a ring theory question.
Instead of just brute forcing it.
Exactly. It shows real strategic planning, not just, calculation.
So if the structure is the key, they needed the data to match it, and the number is just staggering. They synthesized 25 billion tokens of this hyper-specialized agentic code data.
25 billion.
Yeah. Across math, code, deep research. That number alone tells you they treated this like a massive teaching challenge, not just a scaling one.
And the data generation itself was so specialized. For math, they used something they call an atomic thinking approach.
What's that?
Well, they broke down complex mathematical reasoning into 11 independent, verifiable cognitive abilities. So things like symbol recognition, deduction, and crucially, self-reflection. They were basically teaching the model to check its own logical steps.
And what about for more open-ended things, like deep research, where it's easy to just not dig deep enough?
For that, they use a think twice framework. Before it generates a final report, the model is forced to first summarize all the information it's gathered, and then it has to explicitly evaluate if that summary is sufficient.
So if it's not good enough, it has to go back.
It has to go back and explore more. It prevents it from writing a report based on like a shallow investigation.
That data synthesis must have been incredibly noisy, though, with all the tool calls and queries. How did they filter out the irrelevant parts during training?
They did, and it was a clever trick. They used masked loss calculation. For tool use and research scenarios, they basically told the model to ignore the tool's response, the system prompts, and the user query when calculating loss.
So the model is only graded on its own thoughts.
Precisely. It forces the loss to focus exclusively on learning its own internal reasoning and action generation.
Yeah.
It cut down the noise and made the training way more efficient.
So when we look at the results of all this specialized training, this Commonsense-STEM-Agent design, what was the payoff? What did that agentic mid-training phase actually get them?
The payoff was huge. Adding those structured agentic code trajectories gave them a consistent and really significant performance uplift. I'm talking a relative improvement of 14.4% on agent benchmarks.
Oh.
The takeaway is pretty clear. Getting high performance out of small models isn't about distillation. It's about systematically building these intrinsic cognitive skills through disciplined, structured data.
So the ultimate lesson for you is that thinking like a giant isn't about having a giant's brain. It's about being taught how to think structurally. These efficiency gains are enormous, but, the focus right now is all text-based. So Given how effective they were at optimizing the process of thought, what challenges, especially around something like inference latency, do we have to overcome before these lightweight, smart agents can be efficiently deployed into real-world multimodal scenarios? Something for you to mull over until the next deep dive.